back to another episode of Say Yes to Travel, where we have been talking to travel industry professionals in all different verticals of the travel space, and very excited about today's guest because I actually have Jason Fudin in, who is the co-founder and CEO of Y Hotel. Y Hotel, I'm going to have him talk about it a bit more, but it's curated spaces in hand-picked neighborhoods with all the perks of a hotel. So I am really excited to hear more about what they're doing. But without further ado, Jason, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Yeah. So I love in like kind of dabbling in and seeing a bit of what you guys are doing with Y Hotel. Really fascinating. But before we talk about that, would love to bring listeners up to speed. So for an introduction, could you just share a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So my background's in high-rise institutional real estate development. Mm-hmm. I worked on $2 billion plus of development for Vornado Realty, which is a large publicly traded company. I also worked on innovation, repositioning stuff. And in my role at Vornado as an executive, I worked on kind of future real estate. So we worked with, at the time, the WeWorks of the world, mm-hmm. the folks like Convene. They're all in these different versions of like how you make space more efficient, how you better utilize it, and how you think about changing customer preferences. And then while I was there, I piloted Y Hotel as a concept within that larger organization, and we spun it out in 2017 to become an independent venture-backed company. And then the last 4 years have been a bit of a ride.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And it's interesting how kind of the areas and what you were working on before totally led to it seems like it's a natural progression to lead to Y Hotel as far as like with your background and everything and just understanding the space and what people are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a couple of things. The real estate world is kind of archaic in that it's highly siloed and has no flexibility. Yeah. Although trillions of dollars flow through it. Mm-hmm. And so I was in the unique position of, spending those hundreds of millions, billions of dollars to build products while seeing a changing set of consumer preferences and technology, making it so that spaces could be more flexible. And so I was kind of right place, right time. And Vornado was great in letting me pilot this concept. And then since then, it's been great building with a team of awesome people.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting because it's like so often these great ideas it's like the right place at the right time. So which is amazing. So why don't we talk again a little bit more about Y Hotel? So I love, and this is the hotelier in me, but I love how the Y Hotel site says that the future of hospitality is flexible, because I agree wholeheartedly with that. So why don't we, so for people that might be listening, maybe they don't know what Y Hotel is, can you explain what Y Hotel is and then really what inspired you to create it?
Yeah, so we're a platform that brings hospitality style services into apartment product. So basically, if you're a guest of ours or a resident, and we'll explain, we run the whole spectrum, you get to stay in high quality apartment homes in great neighborhoods, but you get hospitality services and you get that hospitality experience. Mm-hmm. Our first business line is called a pop-up hotel. And it sounds temporary because it is. The way it works is when someone builds a high-rise apartment building, like a new one in Washington, D.C., they deliver 300 or 400 apartments, brand new, all at once and empty. And then it takes them a year or two to fill with residents. So for our pop-ups, we take 100 or more of those units, we furnish them. And when the building opens, we're now running a hospitality product out of the vacancy of that brand new building. So all of our guests are staying in brand new, gorgeous towers. And then we layer on our hospitality platform. So they get this, kind of low touch, but highly technical, our high tech focused experience where they can do self-directed check-in, but there's someone on site 24/7. We believe in hospitality as not maybe personless, but not humanless. But we always have people there. Things always go wrong. But the same way that today, you self-serve when you call an Uber, you're not calling like a taxi line, or you self-serve when you select your airline. Same thing for us. It's designed to be tech forward, but it's human supported. And the reason we say flexible is that building is now flexible. So you can stay with us for a day, a month, a year. You can now have the flexibility to live your lifestyle while you're traveling. So if you have certain diet, let's say you're vegan, you can cook your own food, or let's say you're a runner, you can take a run in the morning and throw your clothes in the washer and dryer in unit. It's a home-like stay, while you're on the move. And for a lot of folks, it's also a temporary home. We do a lot of reload business, 4, 6, 8 weeks, traveling nurses. That's the pop-up product. We've done just under a dozen of those now.
Mm-hmm.
And then our second business line is called hospitality living. And that's buildings that and the pop-ups go away, right? So eventually the buildings just become apartment buildings. Hospitality living is like if the pop-up never went away. So it is apartment style buildings that on a forever basis have a mix of stays, whether that's long-term furnished or unfurnished, short-term furnished and unfurnished. And that allows owners to optimize the asset, and that allows customers, whether that's residents or guests, to have kind of a buffet of options for their travel or stay experience.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. And it's so smart how you're taking advantage, especially like as you were describing, the pop-up experience, you've got these beautiful new properties, and they are, again, as you mentioned, just waiting for people to continue to buy the units. So it's an excellent use of that space. And I have to say that model's kind of brilliant. So, but as a user, I know that you're kind of talking like there are options for nightly, weekly, monthly. How does that work? Do they pretty much like have to book that amount of time at the start, or is there some flexibility that like they can extend? I guess it probably depends on where they're staying. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's kind of not all that different than a traditional hotel. It depends on availability. So if someone books up front, then they definitely, and they say, hey, we want to be here for 3 months, like in our Midtown Miami deal, great. But Miami's crazy right now. So if someone books for a month, and then like they're like, hey, I want to extend a week. If we have availability, we can do that. And if we don't, we can't, which is generally why, if you want to be somewhere if you're going to be somewhere for a while, you got to let us know, because we can't just hold units in perpetuity. But of course, it's flexible to extend. There's certain, there's flexibility to cancel.
Yeah. So like a normal booking experience, which makes sense. I just didn't.
It's very different though than the residential experience. If you rent an apartment and you want to extend for a month, those are very expensive extensions. So if you were paying like $2,000 a month to stay in an apartment, and then you're like, oh, well, I want to go month to month, it might be like $4,000 a month, or right? But in our case, it's not. The pricing doesn't change on extensions. So for folks that are staying with us, let's say it's a relo and you haven't bought the house you wanted to buy yet, or you haven't found the apartment you want to stay in yet, people can extend, month after month, which we see happen all the time.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, it's so cool. I just really love like what you're doing. So would love to like kind of switch it a little bit. So last year, obviously a challenge for the travel industry. And I mean, you guys kind of came together like in 2017. So really like the ball is like rolling and you're kind of growing from there. But did you guys focus on anything different throughout the year? And then if so, were there any sort of like unexpected wins from that?
Yeah, I mean, 2020 was a whirlwind. We were on pace to open a property a month or so. We pulled back. We had layoffs, which just sucks. And we focused on upcoming inventory, and we thought we would see occupancy plummet. Through COVID, we kept occupancy over 85%, which was crazy. Oh, wow. We did 500% or more better than the hotels. And the reason is we leaned into those longer stays. So because what we offer is a buffet, we can have someone for 3 months or 3 nights. We just had people stay longer. So a lot of people were displaced from housing. We had a lot of people that were meant to be stationed abroad that just couldn't go, right? Like we had folks that wanted to be stationed through the State Department, or we had folks working on projects that got extended because of social distancing. In Seattle, we had a group that was working on shipbuilding, and now it took longer to build the ship because they had a social distance. So we leaned into longer stays. We made our minimum length of stay 2 weeks. And then, we did oddly well, in some cases better, in a lot of cases better than we were doing pre-COVID, because our expenses went down dramatically in terms of cleans. Our revenue held pretty strong, which gave us the confidence in March of this year to really lean back into inventory, which is why we opened Miami. and took over a couple operations, just opened DC. We're announcing, or we'll have just announced that we're opening another DC pop-up. So yeah, it's been kind of crazy. And I will say this, in the meantime, we focus largely on our tech stack. We rebuilt our entire back technology system. We rebranded the product, a different look and feel. We got smarter. We leaned heavily into contactless check-in, which we've always loved, but we weren't sure where consumers were at with it. I think the pandemic accelerated that. So definitely a lot of surprises, but for us, but for the layoffs, which were just, like I said, it's the worst. But for that though, it's all positive.
Well, and it's interesting just because of like the way that your product is, it very much, like one of the biggest trends, two of the biggest trends of last year, which we were kind of mentioning, were those like longer stays. And it's like you totally have the model that's perfect for that. So people that were seeking that change in scenery, and they had more of that flexibility in their schedule, so they could do that. But then also, obviously, like leaning into the technology aspect as far as like the contactless check-in. I mean, again, everything that you're kind of doing is very much top of mind for what travelers were looking for. So obviously lots of challenges, but definitely, things that sort of worked in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, we had, the extended stay traditional hotel product, extended stay has done the best through COVID, and ours is like extended stay supercharged, right? I mean, these are full on true apartments, luxury apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, pre-COVID, maybe 40-ish% of our stays were long, between that 14 and 30 day mark. And during COVID, it went up to just under 100%, just around 100%. Wow. And it's rebalancing as we come out of here, or at least vaccinated folks come out of here. So, which is the benefit of having a versatile product. Apartment style product lets you do that in a way where, the traditional hotel world has been going to shrink the box, like the hotel pods mottos. It's like, I need a bed, I need a shower, I just need a spot to lay over, but it's not my home. And we've gone, we're targeting the other extreme of the spectrum, which is like, this is a home-like experience. You can recreate home when you're here. Traveling shouldn't be so exhausting. It's very much played in our favor.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I always find it really interesting to hear, when people are working on specific products and then how kind of like leaning into different elements of it. And it just kind of like works out, just all things considered, because certainly in the travel space last year proved to be challenging to say the least. And that is putting it very, very lightly. But so I want to shift gears a little bit. You certainly have your finger on the pulse of the hospitality and travel space. And a lot has changed in the past year. But are there, that you feel, any hospitality trends or changes that you think are maybe here to stay?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them. I would say the only thing that's not here to stay is the lack of travel we've seen over the last 15 months. Yeah. And I think what you're going to see play out between now and the end of 22 is just so much pent up demand that it's going to be silly, and prices are going to be silly, and it's going to be honestly difficult to travel. But I think that a lot of what came out during the pandemic is here to stay. I think contactless check-in, while people kind of flirted with it, I think it becomes the new norm. The same way the OTAs got rid of traditional travel agencies. I think that's going to change the way that stuff is staffed on site. I think it's going to change the way stuff is staffed off site. Yeah. I think that you're going to see more and more people that are blending leisure and business. Yes. The work from anywhere environment is really going to fundamentally change that. So if you can work from anywhere and you have a meeting in, say, Miami, well, you can choose to be in Miami for a week and, at night go out on the beaches or be with your spouse or whatever. There's no reason to rush back to, kind of home city. So I think we're going to see more of these extended stay travel. I think we're going to see more project-based stuff where people don't work there. We've seen during COVID where people book with us for 3 weeks because they're working on a project in, Washington, D.C. Well, they don't live in Washington, D.C. anymore, so they need to stay longer. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. I do think that business travel returns largely. I think there ends up being, it's funny. I think there ends up being more business travel than there was pre-COVID because of the remote nature of the workforce. And obviously we think very, very highly of home-like products. I think that ends up becoming the norm in cities. because of these changing travel patterns.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally agree with you on that. And certainly, because obviously, like when it kind of comes to like business travel, there's been like at the end of 2020, there was a lot of talk by certain individuals that weren't making it seem too promising. But now, as we're kind of on this side of things, knowing the nature of how business has shifted, also how people want to take advantage of that leisure travel, that people are wanting to use any reason to get to kind of travel. So, and I kind of love that you were talking about this, because I think why hotels really seems like a great option for business travel. Do you think, I mean, you kind of touched on this briefly, like, do you think that it's definitely here to stay just because of the new, like, changing of everything?
Yeah, so it's a couple of things. One, I don't think we're going to actually know until 2023 because the amount of pent-up demand is going to basically cloud the signals. You're not going to be able to tell, like, is this the new norm or is this just pent-up demand? So we have another, 15, 16 months till we actually start to see what a new normal looks like. But yeah, I think that the work from anywhere shift, I think it's more than here to stay. I think it changes cities. The same way that highways change cities and trains change cities. People, work has always dictated where people live. And when you decouple location and work, you just change the landscape of cities and travel patterns and everything. And I think that companies will cut out a lot of the like, hey, I need to fly to Boston for a one-night trip for a business meeting. Yeah, because people are getting used to this medium. We're on Zoom. I think an older generation is getting used to this medium. Some of the younger folks have been used to this for a while, but I think that this has been normalized. So I think you see way less of that nightly travel. Yeah. But on the flip side, if you have a team of people that live in Boulder and Portland and all these in Nashville and Charleston, all these great lifestyle cities, secondary cities, they're gonna have to travel for relationship building. We're still human. So I think that office budgets go down. People spend less on office space. I think the travel budgets go up to make up for that, for the human contact. And I think that the story people told at the start of COVID, which is like, oh, people are cutting budgets for business travel, I think is only accurate for that kind of nightly transitory, hey, I want to meet someone once meeting, which I agree with. I think it misses the huge amount of travel that's going to happen in this long stay travel. That's either leisure related or work related.
Yeah, no, and you bring up that really good point, and it's interesting because I know so often we're kind of thinking about it on the domestic side, but we still have yet to see the full influx of international travel as well too. Once all of that, it's going to be silly. I know. I love that you're saying it like that, but it's true. So you touched on this, a little bit, but wanted to see if there's anything else you wanted to add as far as like maybe what travelers are wanting. You're kind of talking about like a little bit more of that homestay sort of experience. We're seeing a bit more of that trend, but do you think travelers want different things than prior to the pandemic? Like what are you kind of thinking?
Yeah, so I think there's been a shift prior to the pandemic through now where people want, when they stay somewhere, they want it to be a reflection of the community they're staying in, right? Like you don't necessarily want to show up to the exact same box when you're in New Orleans as when you're in New York City as when you're in, Chicago. Like these cities have culture, these places have communities. And I think that it's important that experience play right into your home or your hotel room. So that was a trend. The Kimptons of the world really kind of were some of the first that really took that to heart. And I think that you've seen in the boutique hotel world that play out now over decades. And I think that the trajectory is to continue to go that way. It's really important to us. We highlight local artists in all of our buildings. Every stay is a little different. Yeah, and you can actually buy the artwork.
I love that. I love that. I mean, it's what a great way to not only tap into the local community, but then like you can interact in the sense that you can take it home with you.
Yeah, we take a lot of pride in what we place in front of people. The products, where they came from, who created them, who's being supported by selling and buying them. So I think you're going to see a lot of that generally, but I do think that home-like stays are going to start to accelerate. I mean, they have, through the pandemic. Yeah. If you look even like the Airbnb STRs of the world, which I should probably be careful with the way I word this, but we see as a inferior product to a, fully curated, you know, intentional run, institutionally run apartment style hotel product.
Yeah.
Even that stuff has been like, you know, off the charts. Like Airbnb can't get enough inventory to meet the demand. And obviously the amount of institutional product is really low. So I mean, that side of the market we think gets huge. We think it gets huger.
Yeah.
And a lot of the nightly, you know, shrink the box probably softens because those types of stays, you know, I think soften.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and it makes so much sense. I mean, we were certainly seeing this shift towards that prior to the pandemic, and the pandemic just accelerated those changes. And certainly, you know, the industry just has to follow what travelers are looking for and kind of respond to that. And you guys are certainly well poised for that. So, well, that being said, obviously, a lot of new developments and things are happening. What exciting new projects is Y Hotel working on that we can stay tuned for?
Yeah, so I think by the time this airs, we'll have just announced our newest pop-up hotel, which is in Union Market in Washington, D.C. We have about, I think it's 120 units coming on live there. For those that aren't familiar with Union Market, it is exactly that kind of culture community that I was just mentioning. There's this huge market where you have stalls from all these local restaurateurs trying out new concepts, first-time entrepreneurs, all within blocks. It's an amazing community. It's a whole food scene in the DC area, and we're so excited to go there. The building we're in is also like, you know, it's kind of like the boutique hotel of apartment buildings. It's highly curated. It's gorgeous. The amenity spaces are beautiful. The reflection of DC as a city and that local market. Union Market, and yeah, I mean, and there's more coming behind that that we'll be announcing shortly. But I mean, we're in grow mode.
That's amazing.
I think we doubled our employee count in the last like 4 or 5 months. You know, we'll do another version of that here shortly. Yeah, it's an exciting time to be here. It's an exciting time to be in, you know, the kind of evolution of travel.
Oh, totally.
And home, and yeah, it's just it's crazy because, you know, something like the pandemic, the change breeds opportunity for an organization like ours that is smaller and dynamic. And so we don't have all the same baggage, and it's and because travel patterns are changing, consumer preferences are changing, and real estate's changing, we have the fun job of being able to grow a business around all of that.
Yeah, and be more nimble and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing. Well, Jason, this is so exciting. I love what you're doing with Y Hotels, and I'm so excited that you were able to share that, so that those that are tuning in can hear and learn a bit more about what you're doing, and then also get excited because, as you said, now we're on this upswing. So it is this exciting time in the travel and hospitality space, and this is when innovation and the new things happen, which I think we can all agree that it's about time for some bigger changes to happen. So it's definitely exciting. So that being said, for those that are tuning in, and where can they find out more information about Y Hotels and contact you?
Yeah, so you can just go to yhotel.com, WHY, like why, like the question, like why hotel when you can have a place like home. Yhotel.com, and where they can book with us. They can learn more about the organization. We have all our job postings, of which there are a lot. We're looking for great team members. And yeah, people can get a hold of me on LinkedIn, just shoot me a note, or they can send stuff to hello@yhotel.com. Our team manages that, and that'll get forwarded to me if it's applicable. And we're excited to grow, and we're excited to continue to be a part of the travel community.
This is so exciting. Well, thank you again so much for your time today. Jason, this was amazing. For everybody that's tuning in, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. We definitely covered a lot of things. We'll make sure that we have all the details in the show notes about Y Hotel, how you can connect with Jason as well too on LinkedIn, and definitely stay tuned for future episodes. But pay attention, because Y Hotel is definitely doing a lot of great things and changing the landscape of travel as we know it. So as always, thank you guys for tuning in, and continue to say yes to travel.